Dr. Marandi, in Istanbul, the Iranian Supreme Leader has said on X that since the operation took place on Iranian soil, we see it as our duty to avenge his blood meaning Ismail Haniyeh's blood. What are Iran's options going forward?
Iran will definitely strike hard at the Israelis. If you recall, I'm sure you recall when the Israeli regime bombed the Iranian consulate building in Syria, Iran took its complaint to the UN Security Council and to the shock of the international community, the United States, Germany, France, and the UK. They oppose the condemnation of the Israeli regime. In other words, they supported its bombing of a diplomatic building. So it was clear to the Iranians that the only way to make sure that the Israeli regime does not continue carrying out such outrageous attacks is to strike at it. This time around, I think it's going to be more severe because Ismail Haniyeh is very dear to leaders and influential people in the Iranian political establishment. He's a household name. He's considered by Iranians to be a hero in the resistance. He's leading the fight. He's helping lead the fight against a regime that's carrying out genocide, that soldiers are raping prisoners, and who day and night we're seeing the deaths of children. So I think both because of the issue of sovereignty and also because he is seen as a martyr and the hero, the Iranians will strike the Israeli regime very hard.
But Mr. Marandi, is there a risk then this drags Iran into a wider regional conflict, something that Iran has always said in the past that it does not want? I mean, Netanyahu, some people will say, well, that's his agenda all along, and if Iran does retaliate, then Netanyahu will succeed.
No one wants escalation except for the Israeli regime. That's true for Hezbollah, that's true for Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Ansarullah, or the Houthis, as they say. It's true for the resistance in Iraq and Syria, and it's true for Iran. But the regime is carrying out genocide. Hezbollah, it has to draw away forces from Gaza to prevent them from decimating the population, because the West will enable them to do so. We've seen it for 10 months now. Ansarullah has to block the Red Sea. They've said themselves that they are implementing the Genocide Convention. The Americans are trying to help the Israelis carry out genocide, and they're fighting against Ansarullah. But what are the options? What is the option for Iran but to defend the people of Gaza? So if Iran does not strike the Israeli regime, it's going to only get worse. Netanyahu will become more aggressive. But I think that the reality is that the Israeli regime has already lost the war. They've lost on the border with Lebanon. They've lost in Gaza. True, they're carrying out genocide, but even that is hurting the Israeli regime more than anyone else in the world. The regime is despised across the global South, even in the West, despite Western media and despite governments and despite what diplomats are trying to do.
Right. People
are turning against the regime. So the longer the war lasts and the more they escalate, it's worse for Israel. It may be beneficial for Netanyahu, but it doesn't benefit Israel. But no one wants escalation, but at the same time, the regime has to stop carrying out the genocide.